Here we go. Hello everyone. I'm talking a little quietly because it's 6 a.m. here in Australia, 6:30, sorry. So welcome to the Sarah Watts Show, episode 2. I was meant to do this last night. I'm sorry, I was very tired and chose to change it. So here we go. You get to actually, it's kind of cool though, because now we have some daylight. I can show you some cool things. So I'm wearing my happinessisjustachoice.com hat on purpose because there's a lot of craziness in the world right now, right? Hi Rosie, let me know if you can hear me and I'm all good. You're my one viewer so far. Yeah, so welcome to quarantine, to isolation, self-isolation, self-imposed isolation. There's so many different things going on around the world with different countries doing different things. So in Australia, we have sort of like a semi-lockdown, but I'm officially in quarantine anyway. So I rushed back. Hi Wes, hi Mariu. Good, thank you my love. I've had some sleep, so I feel bright. Yeah, I rushed back from Budapest last week. If you missed last week's show, good morning Wes. Because we basically, the whole world, as you know, just sort of started locking down. So I'm on day 9 of my quarantine. I've got 5 days to go. And I sort of get the feeling once I'm out of quarantine, they're going to have everything locked down anyway. So I'm using this time to prepare myself for maybe the next, 1, 2, 3 or 4 weeks. So how are you guys doing? How are you around the world? How's your world? How's your space? And I've been looking at this a bit because a lot of the times I find myself being like lonely and like what you would describe as like sad or depressed and stuff like that, which none of those are me at all. So just also looking at that and looking at how we can actually use this time and what's really truly going on in the world too, and asking questions and not ever kind of going to that place of like, I'm sad, I'm lonely, and actually buying it as real. Everyone on here so far, obviously, well, actually there's people watching that maybe don't know, but a lot of what I use in my life, basically everything, is the tools of access consciousness. And I was on a meeting just before and sort of said, oh my God, imagine being in this time now and not having the tools of access. So if you're watching this and you don't know what access is, maybe go to accessconsciousness.com. There's a bunch of free videos. Like Dane here does like so much free stuff on YouTube. Simone and Brendan do as well. You can find a bunch of stuff on there and maybe start playing with some of the basic tools, because if there were ever a better time to play with this stuff, I don't know when other than now. Yeah, so how are you guys doing? How is everyone in the world? How are you keeping yourself busy and sane, I guess, in this time? And what are you doing to choose more happiness in your life as well? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but we also have some questions. So if you didn't know, you can actually submit a form every time I do one of these shows. We'll post it in the chat section down below, but it's basically sarahwatt.com.au/show. And ask me anything that you want me to talk about on these. So I will ramble on and on about things as well, but if there's something in particular you'd like to ask me, then you can also ask there. I'm an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. I'm a Joy of Business facilitator. And, during this time as well, next month, I'm going to get my certification to be a Right Voice facilitator. But basically, there's a bunch of stuff out there available if you guys are looking for something different in this world, some way to choose something different possibilities available. There's stuff out there that can really contribute to whatever you feel is changeable in this world. And like I keep saying, if there were a better time to start playing with this stuff, I don't know when other than now. We've got all of this space available where a lot of things are closing down. Sorry, I've got to straighten my hat. It's like doing my OCD. Thank you. A lot of things are like kind of scaling down a lot. A lot of people that were working are at home. Like, how can you use this time to start asking some questions about, like, once this changes again and things lift and we're out in the world again, like, what would you like to see different? Like, what if when we open the doors in a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks time, and we stepped out into this new world that was being created? Like, what would you like to see? What would that what would you like it to look like to you? And maybe write a few things down, make yourself a little mini list. And then in the next days, like, what can you start contributing and looking at and asking questions about what you want this new world to be like, that you can start acting on now. I was looking at this before as well, and for me, I get so caught up in doing. I'm such a doer. Like I'm an actualizer. I like to see things get done and produced and made and real in the world. So for me, this next, well, my 5 strict days of quarantine, and then for who knows, like another 2 or 3 weeks, I really want to start using these tools that we have so much access to and start looking at if I could have anything be the future here, the world that we step into when COVID-19 starts to change again. Like, what would that look like? And it doesn't mean it's all going to happen, but what if you could have a sense of that? And if now is the time you could really indulge in the world that you've always wanted to live in. And for me, it's like this place where people don't judge each other and where I want to say, like, support each other, and we have this like contributive energy to everything that the other person is choosing, like no matter what that is. So the other thing I wanted to mention too is during this time, like, what if you called some people that you haven't spoken to in a long time? Like, what if you got your phone out today and called, 2 or 3 people you haven't spoken to in, I don't know, a few days, a few weeks, a few years, and said hello to them and said, hey, like, how you doing? How's your world? Like, how are you dealing with things? Like, and listening and being present with how other people are choosing is such a contribution to what you can be changing and choosing in your world as well. So yeah, what if now was the time to do those things that it includes like cleaning out the cupboards, and like I've got all these plans to like catch up on my finances and clean out the drawers and throw out a bunch of stuff, like all of that stuff as well. But what about the stuff underneath that? Like, what about the stuff that you almost pile all of that stuff on top of because you actually know that there's more that you could be quote unquote dealing with, but you tend to put a bunch of other things in the way so that always seems to get pushed further down the pile. Like, what if this next days and next weeks were the times that you can start to indulge in like how you really want this world to be and what you want it to look like and how you want your life to be? So yeah, that's and hey, if you ever need someone to talk to, you can always call me. You've obviously got me on Facebook, so you can call me on Messenger. A lot of you guys know me personally. If you ever need to just have a chat to someone for 5 minutes, please call me. I'm more than happy to talk to you guys, to ask you questions and have you guys ask me questions as well. Yeah, so what if there was this place available now where we could, even though we're so isolated, self-isolation, quarantine, social distancing, like what if now is the time we could actually be closer to each other than we've ever been before? And we took out like whatever was created previously with being close to each other, and now there was availability to be close in a whole different way, like a whole way of like being totally vulnerable with each other and present. And yeah, I wonder what that would create in the world. And for me, I'm like, well, I don't know. So I'm just going to try it. And I'm going to do that today. I'm going to call a couple of people and I'm going to reach out to people and say hello to them. So maybe that would be fun for you as well. So what are you guys doing? Like what's happening? What are you guys choosing to keep busy and keep sane and keep happy in this time? Feel free to like comment now, or if you're watching this video, I always come back and check the comments later. So I'll have a look and answer and talk to you guys. I watched a Facebook Live that Simone Milasas did, I think it was last night or her yesterday morning, talking about moving your body, which is a huge thing for me as well. So like also check in with that and ask your body how it desires to create itself in these times where, maybe you've got a bit more space to do some things that you've wanted to do that you've not done before, like stretching. And Wesley says, exercise. Yes. I'm going to get up because sitting still is boring, and take you and show you my gym. So, this is the Sarah show, but it's also like I'm in quarantine and you guys are my friends for now. I'm just going to angle my phone a little bit better. So every day I come in here, this is my gym in my garage. Let me just see if I can show you guys. So I've got my bike there that I've put up on a stand so I can still ride without being outside because I'm not allowed to be outside. I've got my weights, I've got my kettlebells, I've got my dumbbells, I've got my weight bench. I've got my box jump here that's holding my shoes currently. Like this is my playground. And sometimes I'm like, okay, it's time to work out. And I'm like, I don't want to work out. But I guarantee every time I get in there and I work out, I feel so much better afterwards. Like, you know, that place where your body actually comes alive, everything starts to move, all of the molecules and everything start to move. So, and it doesn't have to be like, I love gym and, you know, quote unquote, that intense style of exercise. But what if it was like whatever was fun for you? What if it was like putting on some music and dancing in your lounge room, or finding an online video and doing some yoga? Like stretching is another thing I've found my body absolutely loves. Bought an online course that I was curious about a few months ago, and I'm going to spend a day doing it. Yeah, go Rosie. Because that's the other thing as well. Like, how much do we like buy things and we're like, yeah, I'm going to get to this later, I'll get to this later, I'm going to research that later. Like, what if now was the time, while we're all doing this shutdown, lockdown, quarantine thing, to do some of that stuff that you've wanted to do? Like, learn another language, or start playing with those things, like the things that you know. Like, I know for me what it is. Like, I want to learn basic Spanish because we travel to Costa Rica and South America so much with access classes. Like, what if now was the time I actually applied myself and did that? And then things with my body as well, like having this place where I work more on like the finer points rather than just getting in and sweating it out, which is awesome as well. I do love that. But also like actually tapping into my body and finding the things that it enjoys apart from the intense exercise. And for me, I ask it questions and I listen, and it wants to do more stretching and more mobility work. So working deeper into like the joints of my body, my hips and my shoulders, and finding the places that I've neglected over so much time, and really sort of almost like reconnecting with that place. But yeah, what if like having that space with your body could be a part of like everything that's being created in the world right now? And I just want to show you my view. I don't know, probably a lot of you have seen this. I do most of my Facebook lives out here actually. So this is my view from so the office I was sitting at before, at my desk, looks out over this. And this is like the view from my back veranda of Noosa National Park at Peregian Beach in Australia. And like, okay, let's just listen for 1 sec. Like, how cool is that? I woke up the other morning and I heard, Australia's like bird noise capital of the world. We basically have every bird noise you could imagine here. I'm just going to leave the focus on the background for a little bit. And I heard some birds I'd never heard before in the morning. Like, also, what if now is the time to also acknowledge the earth? And how grateful it is to have this little holiday from all of us too. Like, there's less planes in the sky, there's less cars on the road, there's less people walking around. Like, it's almost like the earth and the animals also have this space of relaxation and having a holiday. And what if like every time you got a little bit like, like anxious or lonely or bored or whatever, you just had a moment to tap into what the earth has available now, and ask to have some of that, like that relaxing energy, that receiving energy of like never having a worry or an upset about what's going on, and always being willing to just be patient as well. Like, how much patience can we now practice? And I'm basically just telling you guys everything that I'm working on, and maybe it's contributing to you too. So Wesley said, mobility, priority for 3 weeks, never been a fan. Yeah, Wesley, there's a cool app that, it's so funny. I've paid a monthly membership, and I've been a member of it probably for like 2 or 3 years. It's called, used to be called Mobility Wad, and now it's called, oh crap, I'll have a look, or I'll send it to you, or I'll put it in the comments here. But I've literally paid a monthly membership for like years, and now I'm actually using it. So they've got like a 14-day mobility challenge, and you can go in and find different exercises for different parts of your body. And guys, as well, with exercising, like there's so much available where you don't need a gym. Like my gym has this whole, decked out set of equipment. If you want some pointers on how to set up a basic home gym with like a handful of equipment you can order online and they'll deliver it to you. You don't even necessarily need to have weights. Like, your body is a weight. It's resistant to every movement that it has because we have gravity. So if you're also interested in some contribution on setting up some basic movements for your body and some home exercises, hit me up, because I love that stuff too. And I can show you some things and some basic equipment and some basic movements that will get you going. And there's a bunch of apps and free stuff out there too. So yeah, don't let anything stop you, and ask your body what it wants to do. Like, you know, dance, stretch, you know, run around in circles, do star jumps, deck your house out in a gym. Like, you could, if you wanted to go ahead and spend, you know, $5,000 or something, you can order a whole gym online and have someone come and set it up for you. Like, there's no real limitation to anything here. So I'm going to just quickly look at, what time is it? I've got 10 more minutes and then I've got to get on a meeting. So I'm going to just look quickly. I had a question come through. It's about relationship. I love it because it's the one thing I'm like, don't ask me about relationships. I know nothing about them. But I read this question and you know, whatever. The things you resist are probably the things you actually have capacities with. So the question is, this person is in a new exciting relationship with a guy who truly appreciates and cares for me. She destroys and uncreates the relationship and sex every day, which is a fucking awesome tool of access consciousness. Destroying and uncreating everything of a morning when you wake up. It's another cool way to start your day. Before you even get out of bed, before you're even really truly awake, you're kind of laying there nice and relaxed, and destroying and uncreating your relationship with yourself, all of your relationships, destroying and uncreating your businesses, like this place where you almost get to energetically wipe the slate clean and start the day again. It's really wonderful. It's contributed so much to my life. So she also asked, what else can I do to keep it real? I'm in my 60s and this is a new relationship. What fun and adventure is to be had? I'm afraid I will get bored and walk away or just become dependent on him for my fun. Yikes, what else is possible? So I think for this person, like, you already know, like, that's the cool thing as well. Exactly what you've asked in your questions, like, what are you actually already aware of and what do you already know? And if you weren't creating it from this place of being afraid of choosing the wrong thing, and you are actually willing to be present in the moment, you can't get it wrong. Like, if you're willing to just be that place with the person you're in relationship with, there's no way you can truly fuck it up. And like, looking at what you've asked in your question, I would maybe make a little list of the things, if you could have the relationship that you've always desired to have, what are 5 things that would look like? Like, what are 5 elements of a relationship for you? So that might be, you know, being able to be with the person a certain amount of the time, but also having your free time, you know, enjoying some things together, but also having, you know, activities and things that you like doing by yourself. What is it with your finances? Like, do you want to do that with them? Is it something, and like, get clear on it for you. And then when you start to choose things and look at it, you can start creating from that place of having, you know, something that you know is going to create more in your life and contribute more to you. The other thing I would definitely like to plug is to buy this book, Relationship, Are You Sure You Want One? By Simone Milasas and Brennan Watt. And this has some great, fun, irreverent, vulnerable, epic tips in it about relationship. And, you know, in my 30-something years in this world, I've never seen 2 people that have more of a sense of creationship and relationship is like. So, but I would have fun with it too. Like, what if every day you woke up, you destroyed and uncreated it, you looked at that person, whether you wake up in bed with them or when you see them, and you were truly grateful for them. And from there, and gratitude for everything. Gratitude for when they do shit that would usually be something that would irk you. Gratitude for when they do small things for you. Gratitude for how they look. Gratitude for how they smell. Gratitude for how they do whatever it is that they do in life. And when you come from that space of gratitude, it's like gratitude and judgment, gratitude and anger, gratitude and it can't exist in the same place. What I'm trying to say. Like when you come from that place of being grateful for a person, that's like the stepping stones for building something that is going to just keep getting better. And for everything, guys, like this gratitude thing as well. Like what if we were grateful for the coronavirus outbreak in the world? What if we were grateful for isolation? What if we were grateful for being in quarantine? Like what if we were grateful for everything? And from that place of gratitude, then what can be created in the world? And what questions can you ask based on that, and asking for more gratitude to show up? And how much more grateful can we be? Because when you have that place of like, you start to notice like what other people are choosing, but you realize that that's just a choice that they're creating and making, and it doesn't actually need to have an effect on you. You can be totally, utterly, stupidly grateful even when the rest of the world feels like it's falling apart. Like, and what if you were willing to have that place of like being the over the top, happy, joyful person, even when the rest of the world is like totally freaking out, and you being that and choosing gratitude for yourself, for your partner, for like COVID-19, for the world, like that's when you start to actually change, and you don't even need to try. Everything will just start changing around you. So I hope that helped. And like I said, guys, if you have more questions and you're watching this like afterwards, please post them in the chat, and then I can talk about it next week or whenever I do another one of these. Maybe I'll do them more now because I'm stuck here and you guys are like my quarantine isolation buddies all around the world. Yeah, so if there's anything up in your world, like what if talking about it was a contribution to changing it and asking questions? And I don't know, for me, every time I'm even on a meeting, every time I'm in one of the chats that I'm on a billion of for the businesses that I work in and with Access, every time someone says something of what their point of view is on something or how they see it, it contributes so much to me. I'm like, oh my God, I never even would have like looked at it that way. Like, how can I use that to my advantage? Hi, Frenchie. Yeah, so what if everything was contributing to each other right now? And if we were grateful for that, like what else could we choose with each other? And remember, happiness is just a choice. And even when at times it feels like, fuck, I just like, there's no way I could be happy in this situation. Remember, guys, really all it is a choice. What maybe as well, write down a couple of things. Like, I know I've given you guys a lot of things to write down, but what if you wrote down like 3 or 4 things that always make you happy? Like even when you think it's not going to, it always does. Like for me, it's working out. So, and I know sometimes I'm like, I don't want to work out. I'd rather choose to like sit here and keep doing emails or answering this. But I know the minute I get my bum up and I move into a state of moving my body, it makes me happier. There's never ever been a time in my whole entire life where I've worked out and walked away less happy than when I started. Also for me, it's like listening to things, certain music as well. I played some, it's like my dirty little secret, but I absolutely love Australian hip hop. There's some really cool acts that have been in Australia that I've loved for years and years and years. And yesterday I sat out on the veranda, I played some clips on YouTube, and I was just sitting there laughing and grinning at this music that just lights me up. It makes me so happy. So also that, like, what if every time you get to that place of like whatever it is, go for a little walk, even if you can't leave your yard, down and like sit with a plant or sit with an animal if you've got a dog or a cat or a neighbor has one or some horses or something like that. Like what if you had a little go-to survival happiness kit, or call someone, like reach out to someone and say hello to them. Yeah. So thank you all for watching. I've got to go and jump on a meeting in 3 minutes. So I will end this episode of the Sarah Watt Show now. If you guys have more questions for next week, please reach out. And in the meantime, stay happy, stay sane, and talk to each other. Bye, everyone.